this place is comfortable for me. I know the rules, I know the language, I know what to wear, so I go there. Other places, I don't.
Hello. Ariel, how are you? Welcome to the fifth quarter.
Thank you.
What do you think is the fifth quarter? Don't you think that it's too big for us? Most of us came here as refugees. We had to run away from something, and we need now to build third temple. I don't know, like all the world looking at us. So what you guys gonna do? You're gonna write a new Bible? What's up? You know, you're a tour guide. You don't have Israelis. You mostly have people from abroad.
No, I have mostly Israelis, but yes,
Okay.
most of Israelis are not interested much in Jerusalem. Obviously, we're not ready for that because it seems that we don't really know how to handle it for now. Hopefully, we will learn to do so in the future. But yeah, we didn't come here with ready-made answers. And if you're talking about tradition, historical memory, there's a question how relevant it is, in which ways is it relevant. So I'm not sure how useful it is right now in its current problematic form that it has.
I had a tour guide as a partner, so I've seen the old city. I've been to all the touristical, classical places that Israelis, by the way, they don't go to. Israelis have a thing about going inside a church, like it's going to the other side.
You have to take down the hat.
And it's kind of they have this thing about moving between neighborhoods, between places. So I felt like I had a superpower because I've always managed to navigate between old city, ultra-Orthodox cities, Muslim areas. Ultra-Orthodox, I actually spent the night with my friends' grandparents who are ultra-Orthodox neighborhood, not even Masharim, I'm talking about, like in the outskirts of Jerusalem. And I can navigate between those. And then I notice all the time how Jewish Israeli in West Jerusalem never go to East Jerusalem. I asked a taxi driver to take me last week or 2 weeks ago to Bet Hanina, which is like a very posh neighborhood in East Jerusalem, or to a very posh
Which not many
part of it.
people know that it's posh.
Yeah, it's like
People think about it. Oh, it's Palestine. It's probably horrible.
And then he was very scared. He told me, "Why are you taking me? I'm not going to weird places. This is not worth the money. I have a wife and I have kids." "What are you talking about? I'm just going to this neighborhood." And as we turned right, he took off his kippah. I was very scared. And eventually we got to a very nice villa. And I said, "You see, there's nothing to be scared of. It's actually a very nice house." And I see the other way around. I see people in East Jerusalem that don't want to go to West Jerusalem, and I understand why would you want to be stopped by Israeli forces, police, because you might, they might just stop you and ask you for ID or harass you. Why would you want to go to the other side? So they, and even sometimes internationals who come here, they live in the East Jerusalem, around American Colony or Sheikh Jarrah, and a lot of times they don't even go to West Jerusalem. And then, of course, you have the ultra-Orthodox. And then you have people afraid to go there. So people are really entrenched.
Which is very Jerusalem vibe.
This place is comfortable for me. I know the rules, I know the language, I know what to wear, so I go there. Other places, I don't. And it's not, I would say it's something subconscious, because you have plenty of examples. My favorite is the Cinematheque. I probably went there a lot. And it's a nice place where all the kind of elites of the city go there. Now, just under the Cinematheque, there is a kind of very beautiful, I would say, piece of grass. And no one from the people that goes to Cinematheque almost never go the few meters down there. Not because dangerous, because it's not.
Because they just don't do it.
But they kind of feel in some kind of subconscious level that it's not our territory here. Wow. And they just don't cross it. And they're very kind of sharp lines that you don't cross, and you don't even don't know that you're not crossing.
Is it keeping Jerusalem in peace that people don't do it? Just imagine if everybody would have go everywhere and just like, and without that type of behavior. Is it coming from respect?
Like many things in Jerusalem, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but we have too much of it. Okay, the character, the mosaic like character of Jerusalem, we have different pieces that are distinct and don't have this ethos that actually I don't like, of kind of shedding identities and forgetting stuff. You know, as I told you before, the Jerusalemite mentality, and that's the reason I like it here. It's of a long memory. So memories, history, things that you care about, that's the thing that makes you what you are. So I'm not a big fan of shedding that. The thing is that you can be more relaxed and more cool about it. You can mix this stuff more, okay? For instance, although I have my identity, as somebody that tend to, go around in Jerusalem, for instance, parts of the Muslim and Christian history here are part of my identity as a Jerusalemite, even though I'm not a Christian or a Muslim. So you can be kind of more cool about it, and it can be less disastrous and more, I would say, more positive.
Do they teach this in school here?
No. No,
Do they teach young Jerusalem kids how to be respectful for other cultures?
Not as far as I know, or not enough at least.
I'll write it down here.
Yeah.
Teach it
But
in school.
Shalom, I just want to say that I was talking about shedding identity in the context of the fifth quarter, right? Like a very specific imaginary situation. I am not in favor of shedding an identity. I am in favor of queerness of identity. You know, the same way we approach gender as a fluctuating, flexible thing in which you have many options between, a non-binary or male or female.
Yeah.
And I think in the same way, I don't think it's possible to shed an identity. Remember, when we went to New York, you told me, don't ask people where they're from. They don't like to be asked because they want to be reborn as a
The
New
two
Yorker.
questions. Never ask a person where they're from and what they do. Ask what's their superpowers or what's their hobby.
Yeah. So
That's how you get to their heart.
somebody in the old city asked me where you're from. The answer is very complicated. When I ask them where you're from, the answer is very simple. I am from here. My parents are from here. My grandparents are from here. My great-grandparents are from here. I am, Arab or Muslim. This is a very, very clear answer.
You're a tour guide. You have groups. Probably you have, every group is completely want a different story. You probably, as a tour guide, come up with different stories to each one of them, right?
Well, there are plenty of them, I guess. But
Say one.
but the issue that we brought up here, this kind of geography of fear stuff and identities, how they interact in Jerusalem, you have
You
different.
bring it
You
to the
have
geography of fear.
it's geography
That's
in general.
a
It's not.
premise
It's
that
not
you
only.
always go back
It's
to.
not only fear. Okay, geography of fear is one of the outcomes of it, one of the phenomenons of it. But basically, this city, and it has been like that forever, is a meeting place between different cultures, and it is a contested city. The engagement between the cultures was never 100% peaceful. Look, I was in Sweden once. It was the biggest cultural shock that I had in my life because Jerusalem, it's so kind of eclectic.
everything here.
It's so eclectic and
Orange
it's such
people.
a mess. Now, Sweden, for me, I was in Stockholm mostly. It was like, one studio designed the whole country, designed the nature, the politics, the culture, the people, the animals, the trees. Everything is kind of, it's like an Apple, device. Everything fits, And we here is kind of cheap Chinese,
chaos.
whatever that you upload, whatever you uploaded. So I was shocked over there and kind of, okay, I don't understand. This is a different planet from Jerusalem. I guess if they're coming here, they have a similar experience.
Do you want some grapes?
No, I want some air conditioning, maybe snow, ice.
Yeah, and the combination of having cultures, not only many cultures together, but many cultures kind of stuck together on the top of a mountain, right? That creates this kind of geography of isolation, right? Rather than...
That's the thing, historically, Until 150 years ago, there was nothing here, just the walls.
Well, it's far from being true, but look, this is a huge subject that you open here, I guess.
Well.
Look, you have this distinction that I have like plenty to say about between in our area between Mediterranean culture and inland culture. For instance, you have the Romans, which are kind of Mediterranean culture. You have the Germanians, which is inland culture, okay, etc., etc. And the Mediterranean is the meeting place, which is supposed to be and usually tends to be very kind of tolerant because economically they need to replace goods and ideas.
It's more secure to be on a mountain.
And if you're somewhere inside the land, in the mountain, desert, whatever, you need to be, in order to survive, you don't need to be open to other cultures. You need the exact opposite. You need to know very deeply your culture and protect your territory, because that's what makes you to produce the specialized ideas and good that you can export to the Mediterranean ports, okay? That's the dynamic of that area. Now, Jerusalem is kind of unique because, and that's part of the Jewish story as well, as I understand it, because in one hand, of course, it is an inland city, it's a mountain city, but this is a mountain city that's stuck between the two largest systems of ancient trade routes. And you have like huge international trade routes that are 1,000 years old.
Yeah, from India to Africa.
From China to Africa and to Europe or whatever. Now the distance between those two systems is about 200 kilometers, and Jerusalem is on between. Now you don't have any reason to pass in Jerusalem if you're going on the trade routes, but Jerusalem has the misfortune of becoming famous, mostly because of Jesus. And since, people passing those trade routes and Jerusalem is just like 1 or 2 days away, they will say, okay, let's go and check out this city we read about in the Bible. Okay, so although it's kind of a mountain city and it's inland culture and everything, you have a lot of, I would say, interface with international culture. And the same goes, I would say, for Jewish culture in general, because in origin, this is kind of mountain, very kind of agricultural culture that came down in like 3rd century BC to the Greek cities of the coast and started mixing those two things.
It makes sense. However, I can say that the community lifestyle that we are now bringing back, it used to be the way we used to be, and then in 20th century was very individualistic, approach. As a community, if you create diversity inside the community, that kills racism. I find it in New York that, communities that are like only Israelis or only Russians, they become more and more racist. Communities that are multicultural, it's like you kill the monster. It's like you have it in front of you. You see the person every day. If you have a thing, you can talk to the person.
That's why the practice is more important. For instance, it's kind of a cliche, but if we talked before about the contest between Jerusalem and Tel Aviv and all that stuff, now Tel Aviv has the ideology of tolerance and all the nice ideas, but they lack the practice that we have in Jerusalem. For instance, from my experience, many people in Tel Aviv, for instance, they have a harder time to accept or to deal with people that are different because they're not used to do that. Now here we can be crazy and really be racist and hate each other, but we have the habit. You cannot,
I love when you say we hate each other.
Yeah.
However, you work with them, you buy from them.
The only problem
Which one is
not
the most mixed place in Jerusalem, except the old city, of course?
Well, the old city is not the most mixed place in Jerusalem. The most mixed places in Jerusalem are, I would say, infrastructures like parks, like
for example, a person come to Jerusalem from Tel Aviv, from the north, from the south. They want to go to a bar where they can see multicultural vibe. Which place you would send them to go?
I would say that the multicultural places tend to be somewhere around the seam line. The borders are extremely interesting because the borders is where all the places where the things that are not supposed to happens. For instance, if you are ultra-Orthodox, pay attention, you probably paid attention to that near the Davidka Square, you have kind of bunch of cellular phone, kind of smartphone stores. Now, they're just on the edge of the ultra-Orthodox neighborhoods because it's kind of half legitimate, so you put it on the border. If you're a Palestinian that, a Muslim that's not supposed to drink alcohol, you're gonna cross the line to West Jerusalem to drink alcohol, but you won't go far to West Jerusalem. You want to stay near the border because if the shit hits the fan, but it's not going to happen here because you don't have any fan, sorry, but if there's some problem, you can escape. And it's something that was checked methodically. For instance, you mentioned before the Mamila kind of open mall. That's one of the places where both sides feel
Mamila
most
is,
comfortable.
I think, very mixed.
Because if you it doesn't matter if you're Israeli or Palestinian, you just look back, and say, okay, my territory is just 200 meters from here, so if something happens, I can just run away and it's not too far away, okay? So those places that are kind of around the borders, some of them tend to be very, very mixed. Others tend to be very violent. Depends which place is it, but
And depends on the day.
Depends on the day, but it's amazing. You have concrete places that you have, most violent acts from all sides happening on them, and just near them you have other places where you see everyone is mixed and living in peace together, and that the vibe is great, and and you ask yourself, okay, why here everything is so cool, and here people killing each other, and there's a 100-meter distance between those places, okay?
So I'm going to paraphrase it. There's a poem by Yehuda Amichai that, what I'm talking about. There's an old man coming with his baskets from the market in Jerusalem, and he sits on a bench, and there's a tour guide coming, and the tour guide points at him and he says, you see there, the old man with the basket? If you look up and right, there's going to be a historical monument of some sort.
Yeah, an ark from the Roman period.
Exactly, ark from the Roman period, but the redemption for Jerusalem will come when that tour guide would say, you see that Roman ark, if you look left and down, there's an old man sitting on the bench carrying baskets from the market. And in that context of the daily life, looking not just the history but the daily life, where do the people meet? They meet in the shopping mall, they meet in the park, like to run or to jog or to just have a picnic or just on break with your family, like the railroad park, for example.
Yeah.
So they meet, in the parks, they meet in the shopping malls, they meet
in the bars, in the clubs, in the restaurants.
Bars and parks are
less
so
than
there's
parks.
Really one point.
Parks.
But if you're talking about shopping malls, you don't even have to go to Mamila. You can even talk about going to Malcha shopping mall.
So in a way, Jerusalem is the least racist city but the most. The least and the most racist place in Israel, or the world maybe.
Yes.
Because people have to live. In Tel Aviv, for example, you can go for weeks without seeing anybody but Israelis. Here,
because
no
you have
chance.
You have there few
or in
few
Herzliya
Arabs
or
that
whatever.
are like hipsters
Here
and going
you
to the
have
same
no
bar.
choice. You have to do it.
Kind of, we are kind of stuck together and pushed together and need to show many forms of tolerance, mainly economic, to survive. But the togetherness doesn't mean equality. It doesn't mean that we have the same kind of level here and the same stance. Okay, so we have a kind of tolerance, sometimes forced by different, by the reality. But it doesn't mean it's comfortable. As sad as it might be, sometimes many of us are tolerant. And we wish we hadn't been,
It's a place that have some type of a system that works
Well,
only for the people here. It's like
the thing
only
here,
Jerusalem people understand Jerusalem.
the thing here is that in terms of ideology, we hate each other. Okay, we're having fun hating each other. Okay, but we have tolerance here in practice. Okay, because we're stuck together and we need to survive and we need to buy stuff and we need the economical.
This hate
So in practice,
like
I think there's a mix-up between tolerance and tolerating somebody.
okay.
Right? There's a big difference. And racism is a group thing, right? You hate a group, not a singular person. It's about groups. But so you can befriend a person with that groups, right? And still be racist, right? You know, the saying, oh, some of my best friends are, and then take your choice, a minority, right? But just because some of your friends are a part of this minority does not make you not racist or non-homophobic or non-Islamophobic or non-sexist or whatever you want to fit in there, right? Having singular friends, having mutual experience does not counteract racism, because racism is a group thing, and the only way to fix racism or to adverse it is by doing something that has to do with a group, right? Like education, for example, or anything that comes with a group. You cannot cure a group disease with a singular performance. That makes sense?
Shalom, can I spell your last name? How is it? Boguslavsky.
yeah,
I said it right.
you got it right.
Multicultural tours in Jerusalem.
Wait, can you say my last name too?
Ita Skoblinsky.
Look at you!
Yeah, I mean, we are here in like it sounds like the Olympic
And
Games,
wait,
like
sorry, Ariel,
athletics.
can you show your shoes? Because I don't
Athletics.
think the shoes has to be on camera. Those are magnificent. Where did you get those shoes?
In New York, it was $10, and I went with this to my brother's wedding, and everybody thought it's like $20 shoes. I haven't said that it was $10.